Darlene?
Wait, I'll hit invite to broadcast. I'm sending an invite.
Historically, that has not worked.
That's all right. That won't keep me from trying. That's
What's
the definition of insanity anyway, right? Exactly. I'm the kind of guy who beats my head against the wall long enough to break through, right?
She logged in with the co-host link. Did you sign? Yeah, she obviously signed in. Did you hit join green room?
Yeah, join green room
on your image.
Sometimes there's a delay.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a delay.
Are you on Google Chrome? She can hear us.
Yeah.
Did you say yes to allowing Huza to access your camera and microphone? You know what the next question is going to be, right?
Did you fill out the thing that sells your soul to Lauren?
Have you tried restarting Chrome and joining back in?
Give that a shot. Exactly. Have you tried standing on one foot, turning around 3 times, and slaughtering a chicken? I was going to say, grab a chicken and a bottle of rum.
No, the next question is, have you tried restarting your computer? Come on, guys. Technical support 101.
Technical support. Yeah.
Right.
You tried rebooting it.
Trying to keep ceiling fans out of the shot so I don't mesmerize people. Yeah.
Yes, Ed. Yes. Right checks to Ed. Right checks to Ed. Right.
I'm actually outside today. I know it looks deceiving, but I am sitting outside.
Very nice. So your pool's in the middle of your house?
No, we added this. This is we call this our like function area. So it's like a theater, a kitchen, and then I'm in the dining room.
Wow.
So it's like a porch.
Okay. That's nice. That's very nice.
Thanks.
Let's go party with Ed. Exactly.
My wife's an event planner. My wife's a professional event planner. We do have wonderful parties.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
We've had I think our biggest was 110 people in here.
Whew. That's no small feat to pull off. Except Ed starts looking at the billing for it going, wait a second, what is this gratuity line? What is the
exactly
event planner fee? What?
So she entered the green room.
Okay, and there might be a delay for her to join, but I don't understand why she wouldn't be. Has she done anything that's upset the NSA recently?
Yeah.
That's a yes.
I believe she wrote likely. Likely.
She's Canadian. I think that's yes in Canadian. So. Okay, so she's into the green room. She sees here's us. Isn't there a Chrome plugin that she has to drop in? Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Now, you sent 2 invites, Lauren. Was the first one...
Well, she's in the green room, so...
Oh, if she's in the green room, she's got to be... Yeah, so the link is there. It's the same link. I'm fresh out of what to do. Because, I mean, when you go in Chrome, it doesn't ask you to plug in a different browser. I think Chrome is the de facto one.
Darlene's going to try a different browser.
Okay. Yeah, she...
Hey, guys.
Ooh.
GPS got me, man. The fact it's got built-in GPS, I don't have to run with my big-ass phone in my pocket anymore.
Well, I downloaded Sierra on my Mac, and the little fun thing I love most about it is you can set it up.
The unlock.
So your watch will unlock the computer. So I'm like, get that. The only thing I'm worried about. I just got the Fitbit. So
you'll love it. Having a tracker is nice. No, I mean even the Fitbit, because that has some nice tracking to it that the iWatch doesn't have, because that's got the sleep tracking, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the sleep tracking is amazing. Does it have the alarm that'll wait to wake you up, so it'll go 5 minutes in either direction based on how deep of a sleep you're in?
Oh, I haven't used the feature. It might have.
I use that. I had a Jawbone that while it was tracking your sleep, it was we can't see you, Tim.
No, can't see you, Tim. What's up with this?
So I had a Jawbone that you could actually set it. It would go like 5 or 10 minutes in either direction of the time you set.
Right.
And it would wake you when you were in a lighter sleep. It's amazing how much better you feel.
If you're in a deep
sleep,
there's
Tim.
There you go. If you're in a deep sleep, it wakes you up, tries to wake you up 5 minutes earlier.
I think, Tim, you kicked us on, so we're live now.
My only option was to go live.
Well, we're live.
Yeah.
Hey,
hello,
everybody. We're live.
Let's see if Darlene can get in now.
Yeah, let's see if Darlene can get in now. Darlene, hopefully you'll be able to join us. Let me kick over the Facebook Live.
I'm going to invite her to the broadcast. I have a link to invite Darlene to the broadcast, so let's see if that works.
We try. Yep.
Yay!
Yay! Can you hear me?
Yes, a little crackly, but all good.
Okay, excellent.
Since we're now live, welcome everyone to episode or show number 59 of This Week in Hospitality Marketing. Mr. Tim pulled the switch on us today, and it started live. Whether we wanted to, hopefully we weren't saying anything in the green room that was not appropriate for general content, but
and amazingly, we won't be kicking off our show with technical difficulties today.
Hey!
What will we do with the extra 8 minutes?
I thought we had a 12-minute technical issues to get the thing running. I didn't know we'd get out today, but it's nice. We also have 5 screens on this, and on one screen, Mr. Ed, you're the man on top. You're on the top of the pyramid. With us today, always, is the indomitable Mr. Edward StOnge, who is sitting in his outside foyer. Wow, amazing place. He's did a little preview of it for us. Ed, can you show the amazing backyard that you have?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually outside, even though it looks like I'm in.
Nice. Look at that.
I know, right?
That's my pool and my house. And
party with that.
Wow, Ed.
Also with us is...
Next week, I'm going over to the Four Seasons. I'm going to say, yeah, look at my house.
He already got 4 seasons in. Wait a minute. We're not even 2 minutes into the show, and he got 4 seasons already in. Wow.
All right, everyone, check your bingo card. For those of you who have 4 seasons,
we need to shot game. Okay, so with us, Mr. Robert Cole from Cheetah, and also Mr. Tim Peter from Tim Peter and Associates, and our special co-host, who's probably looking at us with strange, what the heck is this? What did I just do? Is Darlene Rondeau with Leonardo. Hi, Darlene.
Hi, everybody.
As you can tell, we enjoy ourselves, whether anybody else likes it or not. We tend to have fun all by our lonesome.
And you will be dragged along as well with us, whether you like it or not.
Well, out of all this, we asked Darlene to join us as a special guest, where we get to spend however much time, hopefully about a half hour or more, depending upon how the conversation goes, where we get to talk about anything that Darlene wants to talk about. And we get to and ask a bunch of questions and so forth. And also, with that in mind, Darlene, tell us what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
So,
what's your topic?
What's my topic? So I thought an interesting and timely topic might be what I call the democratization of online marketing. And when I think about that, I think about Henry Ford back in the early 1900s. Henry Ford famously said, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Mm-hmm. And so what Henry did way back when was he set out really to democratize the car, because he wanted everyone he wanted to build a car for the multitude so that everyone who wanted one could afford one. And so he did. And then slowly other industries followed suit. You know, if we look at the iPod when it was first released, it was priced at over $1,000, and now you can buy an iPod if, in fact, you wanted to go back in technology. You could buy one for $100. So, you know, all these industries around us have evolved, and they all got to a place where they were available. Their products were available to the masses. And I see hospitality taking baby steps towards that. But still, I talk to a lot of marketers in agencies, or they work with agencies. And for some folks, they're still spending like $15,000, $20,000 to build a website. And it just makes me think, you know, this is 2016, right? Why is that still the case? Because I think with today's technology, you can have a website that looks like a bespoke one, but is in fact, you can have it for much less money. So that's the conversation I wanted to tee up today, and just, you know, let's talk collectively about why we think that is, and you know, do we think we're headed in the right direction, and how quickly?
I think it's a great topic.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think the concern that I have about the democratization of it is that it's more affordable, but it also means that there's a lot of things that can go wrong for people that don't know how to handle their newfound accesses. Where it keeps all of us in business because we have to go fix a lot of stuff that they had well intended. I mean, there's lots of go to your point about making websites. It's like there's great platforms to make great websites, but that doesn't mean they know how to make a great website with it.
Right.
So
which we saw example of a few weeks back when we looked at our friend with the booking suite website over in Portugal.
That's right.
Yeah. Where and for those who did get to see the show, we were talking to who gave that to us? Was it he joined the show? One of our listeners,
one of our regulars. He was asking us about a friend of his, small hotel somewhere in Italy, and Portugal. I kind of just said, or Portugal. I said, why don't we just go look at it?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, ooh,
so
nice hotel.
So from the perspective of what you're trying to point out about democratization, do you feel that now that just because it's available to everyone, that the market's not being sensitive to those who are still charging exorbitant amounts of money now to produce websites? I mean, how do you feel that that's going to change things in the long run?
Well, I always like to draw analogies with retailers, right? Because they figured out that it's not about constructing a really expensive store. And Ed, I think you alluded to this when we were in the green room earlier. It's about merchandising, right? And evidence of that is we see all these pop-up retailers everywhere. And on a square footage basis, they can sell just as much as someone who has a big fancy store that they've paid a lot of money to design. And so I think my whole point is that it is about how you're merchandising what you have. And we know that consumers care, about 3 or 4 things, right? They care about what consumers see and what the hotel has to offer. So they care about the rooms, the bathrooms, what there is to do in and around the area. They care about reviews. They care about special offers. And so from that perspective, I don't think it's brain surgery, Lauren, to take those 3 or 4 simple elements, put them together, and then merchandise them in a way that is appealing to consumers.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's what I think is really interesting about this approach that's happening everywhere. So, let's first of all not forget software will devour the world.
Yes, indeed.
This is another example of just really good thinking. So let's talk about the pros on why you would want to consider taking a kind of a standardized approach to your hotel site. One, the more hotel sites that are using a version of a template, the faster it will get fine-tuned for conversion. So that's a key one.
Yeah.
2, paying a designer to design a site, I can tell you that more often than not, it will end in some form of disappointment. Whether it be you got exactly what you asked for and it's not functional, or you didn't get what you wanted and it's somewhere functional. Unless you're going to a pro like a Travel Click or someone like that. But here's the thing: if you look, a lot of their sites are very similar. Why? Because there's only so many versions of the correct way to sell a hotel on the web. So I do think it's great that companies are coming out with choices for hotels. I think the problem is people are still spending big dollars on sites because they think there's something wrong with going to a templated site approach. And, I think that's a mistake. I think, companies like Square have proven that there's nothing wrong with templates. There's the cat visitor. I was wondering when we were going to see one. So, I think it's great that this is coming to hotels. It also will stop them from just making mistakes that they could make with a designer or that a designer would let them make. So, I mean, from the pro side, I think it makes sense. I'm excited that more companies are entering this space, such as Leonardo with their Vizilly product, which I do like quite a bit.
Thank you.
I think the important thing, though, for hotels to remember, like we talk about constantly, it's not set it and forget it. And you should seek, if the vendor themselves don't give professional advice on content, you should seek a content expert to make sure that you're using the template correctly. Because if you guys remember, our issue with that one hotel we looked at was their content was like really in a bad place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that template wasn't very good. And they have
a
variety of templates. And again, that might have been an earlier version one that never got upgraded, or who knows why. But
again, never set it and forget it.
Right. One of the things that's interesting about, and Darlene, we want to hear some more about Vizilly here, but one of the things that I think is interesting, and Ed's exactly right, in terms of focusing on content, is many properties, many hotels, many hotel companies are spending a ton of money on the frame and not as much money on the picture that goes in it. And I think that that's exactly backwards, right? So one of the great things about when we look at a templated type design, when we look at template type platforms, is it actually should cause you to put your focus as a hotelier where it should be, which is on the picture, not the frame. So do you want to talk a little bit about Vizilly and it as a frame in this specific case, and how maybe that helps people put more emphasis on the picture?
Sure. Thank you. I don't want it to be a commercial, but I think...
Too bad.
Oh, we do this all the time.
We do this all the time.
Promotion is what
we want to know about this stuff.
A couple of things, right? Like I used to think that stuff like SEO was brain surgery or quantum physics or something, right? But at the end of the day, it's all about answering the question that consumers are asking that is going to get you in that consideration list, right? They have to find you first. And so that's the first part of the equation. The second part of the equation is once they find you, to your point, Tim, you have to be serving them up something that is compelling. So snackable stuff. So, great images, but also snackable videos, virtual tours. By snackable, I mean 15 to 45 seconds. And then have that media supplemented with great captions and short descriptions, right? We know that by nature, people are visual. But it also helps to put those images in context so that as consumers are zipping through your website looking for this anticipated experience, to the extent that you capture the essence of your property and the experience that someone can have at that property, you're going to stay in the minds of that hotel shopper as they move through the journey. And so, sort of a roundabout way to answer your question about Vizilly, it has been designed to maximize both those things. So it is purpose-built for conversions, but also on the back end, it's optimized for search. And then, the third part is, and it is a platform that gives hotels a simple and easy way to tell their story. And they can change that story seasonally if they want. They can change it based on local promotions because people care about that as well. So it's really this all-inclusive solution, digital marketing solution, that makes it easier. And back to my original point, at a price point that is affordable and doesn't command a huge chunk of someone's marketing budget.
Mm-hmm. So that's what's great about marketing stacks in general. Marketing isn't custom strung together campaigns and things like that anymore. There is such thing as a marketing stack. It's, think about it as, the same way you think about, other stacks that you have. So you have your property management system stack. Don't compare it to that because, you have all these different tool sets that are full end-to-end architecture. And so, marketing has become that way. It's, one of the faster growing areas of software. I mean, the amount of entrants in marketing is insane. And the value's there. I mean, if you look at the public value on companies like HubSpot, You look at how Salesforce is investing. The marketing stack is real. It's here to stay. And the days of hiring for a one-time shot, an incredibly expensive designer are becoming more and more limited because, the bottom line is even one-off designers, if you look at the sites they put together, they look similar to other sites. Why? Because they're using inspiration to decide what to design for the user journey.
Yeah. And I know you're not, and I know, in fact, I don't know, let me throw it out there. There's this misnomer that website platform like WordPress is free, right? And it is probably the furthest thing from free. Lauren, you may have alluded to that earlier as well, and that you can't just throw it up there and hope that it works, right? There are an awful lot of moving parts, everything from security to, algorithm changes by Google, et cetera, right? So,
security is a good point.
Security is a great point. Absolutely.
Well, and WordPress, the big challenge are the plugins, right? Because if you don't pick the right plugins at the front, you run into some really bad problems when you pull it out and all your analytics don't work anymore and you don't have history.
You bring up an interesting juxtaposition problem where the products are out there and available to people, but I think what holds a lot of them back, I have that experience with some current clients, is uncertainty. You when you were talking about changing up rich media and so forth, even the concept of seasonality, of changing up the imagery and the context on the website to reflect a more perpetual moment in time, like, okay, it's coming into fall. You shouldn't have your pictures of a set and forget, like Ed says. But they do, because they're afraid of touching it. They're uncertain about what they're doing. If I change the picture, does it magically make something go bad or wrong? Or do I get re-indexed? There's a lot of what-if questions to that. So it's more of they get it up and it runs, and they hope it does everything it's supposed to do, especially if they don't touch it. And it's like, no, you got to make it a living, breathing thing. But then they shoot themselves in the foot because they don't invest in the bandwidth internally to facilitate.
Well, and this actually speaks further for products like Vizilly and the others on the market, is you can just change your template, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I last looked at it, a hotel can go to a new template at any point that they want to inside the platform and test how it works for them. You can't do that when you have a
custom built
fully
website
site built. You're stuck, and you're stuck with that investment for a very long time. So there's actually more risk in going fully bespoke than there is going templated, because the templated approach, you can switch with either no or relatively low cost, which means you can test, and testing is the most important thing in marketing.
Yeah.
And not enough organizations in our industry have embraced a testing culture. They are very opinionated in what they believe should be put in front of someone, and are very hesitant to test.
Right. Especially when they find some success. If they found early success, they're almost rigid about not changing. Like, don't mess with it. It's working. It's like, no.
Because they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Well, but there are also two challenges. I think in a lot of cases, either the templates or the design, depending on what it is, doesn't lend itself to testing, right? It's kind of, here's a one size fits all. And then secondarily, a lot of them tend to be very simple, and it's kind of one version of the site for everyone, and it's not really set up to have different navigation paths and more complex, say, landing pages and paths to go deal with particular personas, right?
Why am I not surprised that there's a Tim Peter blog post on this?
Yeah.
But since we're playing bingo and Robert got the 2-minute mark, I figured I'd come in with a link.
Exactly.
So Darlene, if I
yeah, the beauty
I just want to ask you a quick question, if I may.
Sure.
I want to ask you a quick question. Don't be afraid of being a commercial. We'll certainly, we'll certainly shoot it full of holes in a minute. But what I'm curious is, when we talk about these things, can you talk a little bit about how Vizilly helps with that scenario? Like, why is Vizilly a good solution in this scenario?
So, like you, Tim, I do a lot of writing. I just finished a case study yesterday where we talked about how one of our clients, the Atrium Inn in Vancouver, was able to increase their ADR by 25% for just $12.50 a day. They increased their daily rate by $35 because they implemented Vizilly. So for the, some of the reasons that I talked about earlier is that they have a modern website where they're able to really tell stories about their properties, features, amenities in a way that really kicks the competition, really kicks their butts. And so because of that, what they did, speaking of testing, what they did was they said, let's see how much we can raise our ADR now that we're telling a better story. And so they jacked it up, and they're holding steady at this 25% increase. So those are the kinds of things that I think just speak to the strengths of Vizilly.
So,
well,
go ahead, Robert.
And if you look at the website, I mean, Lauren posted the link.
I didn't post. No, he didn't.
Which is
Ed posted the link.
Ed posted the link. Yeah. It's always me. I'm the iPod guy for some reason. Thank you, Ed, for posting the link.
But I mean, the imagery is great. I mean, it's large, but you've still got the navigation at the top. So the first one, at least, that cycled up for me was the destination of Vancouver. So you go, wow, I want to go there. Then it's got the apparently the lobby or some sort of a very nice area, guest rooms, and it's cycling through all the things logically that a guest would be interested in a very large carousel.
And
right?
most importantly,
and it's very immersive, which is great.
The sixth word under the photo is the city the hotel's in.
Right.
Amazing. You know what destination this is.
I know. It's that drives me insane when I see photographs and I go, wow, I really want to go there. If only I knew what I was looking at, right?
Yeah.
And you got a nice on mobile on looking at on my brand new iPhone 7.
I think too.
But we have the nice tap the button to dial the phone on mobile, which is great, right at the top. Make it easy for people to contact you in whatever works for them.
And that's what
top, not in the lower right corner, so you can hit it with your thumb more easily. It's not optimized. Let's rip it apart.
Those are the kinds of things that when I talk about, again, back to democratization. So this property, I think all in their annual license is somewhere around $3,000, right? So they get the website, they get the mobile sites, they get the social plugins, they get the analytics, all of these things, right? It's affordable, and that website looks as good as, and I can point to a dozen websites that cost upwards of 20 grand. That website looks as good as any of those bespoke ones for a fraction of the cost and across all devices.
Right. Well, I'll tell you something that I like a lot. So first off, Ed pointed out the word Vancouver being right there. Obviously, we got the phone icon, and I'm a big fan of this. Now, the icon may not be clear to everybody. I'm going to be very candid. I'm not sure that's immediately apparent to everyone what it is, but what is very cool is there's a little icon in the top right corner right next to the phone on mobile, but not on desktop, that if you tap what comes up is it takes you into the map. It takes you right to a map, which is it's not just responsive in the sense of the screen size changes. It's responsive in the sense of use case. It's responsive in the sense of if a guest happens to be on a mobile device, where are they more likely to be? They're more likely to be in a car. So let's actually give them interactions that are more responsive to their needs at that time. And that's actually a really cool thing. I've actually not seen that before on many websites, really. That's not something you run across very often.
Since we couldn't really see the icon, is it like that folded map type thing?
No, it's like the little pin that you would see on like Google Maps. It's
just a little kind of
Yeah, here, I'm going to hold it real close up to the the screen.
Hold it to your camera specifically, not to the screen.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Of course, I can't get the website to come up right now.
No, I have a technical question.
Unfortunately, Leonardo is keeping the costs down by running this on. This website runs on Darlene's
laptop. Ed froze. Oh, there he is. Hey, I have a technical question. No, you're back again. All right. So, what is the? I got asked this by someone, and I didn't have an answer. When you scroll up on this website, the header bar diminishes and expands. What is that technical term of doing that? What do you call that?
The header bar.
Yeah, your nav bar on the top, your logo will diminish and expand depending upon your scroll.
Oh yeah, the little push thing.
Yeah, but what's the technical term for that function? Somebody asked me that. I'm like, I don't know, the little squishy thing. I never knew that.
I'm afraid that's above my pay grade. I don't know.
I will tell you that the 3 lines is called a hamburger.
Right. Yes.
That is the technical term.
It is the hamburger. Yes.
But that animation, I'm not sure what it is either.
Yeah, I don't know a term for that either. It's just
feels like something you probably could have Googled.
Yeah, I'll have to dig that one up. I figured since we're looking at, that's interesting. But now there's one thing I noted with the new Apple iOS system is that if there is any address on anything in the iOS system now, you can force touch it on the Mac or on the phone, and it'll pull up into the map app, the address.
Right.
So I know that the website, you had to have put it there for even to function. So it's not as if the Apple was doing that, but it's nice to know that functionality is being built into the iOS systems now as well.
Right. But that is
okay.
But that's
technical.
Cool the little bug that I just held up to the screen, and I hold it up again.
Yeah.
That little marker there.
The landmark.
That's not something I've seen really anywhere else, particularly in
my recommendation would be to use actually a map. The kind of folded map, like the trifold map one, might be clearer.
Thank you.
I like that.
Actually, my recommendation would be to label it a map.
Yeah. A lot of times, actually, that little logo is for when you hit that. That's your location, right? So it puts your location.
Yeah. No, good point. I'll pass that along.
My recommendation would be to have it just be an address field and mail people physical maps.
No. Open up a PDF. Open up a PDF that you can't, inch and size up. It's micro.
It's going to be super tiny.
No. Wait, Lauren, that is not Lauren's style. Lauren's style is to do a 360 video with a cartographer.
There it is.
Who will draw you.
And the word map would be spelled wrong.
It would have an E in it.
I would be missing something in the. Oh, thank you very much. I still have that sign. I keep that sign as a reminder of my bad spelling. And Darlene, just so you know, the bad joke was I had printed when we were doing the high tech show a sign that said live broadcasting. However, in my haste to get it printed, I missed a letter out of broadcasting, so it was broadcasting. And
we thought it was just going for that kind of Tumblr Flickr type thing. We're drop of Val because it's cooler. I always assumed you were that hip.
It just came off bad. It just wasn't good.
Okay. And I have the official name for that. I took Ed's advice and did Google it. It is an animated resizing header on scroll.
Boring.
Or a hose.
I like squishy. I like squishy headbar.
It's an R hole. It's an R hole.
Okay, we're digressing on that one. That's
Darlene, you're instantly regretting this.
Dear God, I've joined between two ferns. Why did I decide to do this?
She's like, even worse is she invited me to take part in something she's doing, and she's instantly like,
yeah. Oh, I know. Can we redo the summit agenda?
Darlene's like, wait, StOnge, payback's a bitch.
But Ed, thanks for bringing that up because I did want to tell the group, Leonardo is hosting what we believe to be the first summit of this kind for hospitality in particular. And so it's on October 27th, and it's a live 2.5 hour digital summit. And so we've invited Ed. We have the folks at Triptease. Charlie's going to join us. David at SiteMinder. Kurt from Sojourn, and Ellis from Trust You. And so the 6 of us are going to talk about the evolving travel shopping journey by phase, and that phase's impact on direct bookings specifically. And so we're all going to be on camera like this, and we'll try and get the audience involved somehow. We're still working on the best way to do that. And we want it to mimic as much as we can an offline physical conference, so that participants can jump in and out of the conference just as you might if you were at an offline conference. So thank you, Ed. Thanks for joining us. I think it's going to be a great discussion.
Where can people find that? Do you have a URL for that yet?
We do. I'll shoot it to you guys. Leonardo.com/events, I think. But I'll shoot you the URL.
Fantastic.
And soon it will be on timpeter.com.
Distribution channels, man.
That's it.
That's right.
Well, no, that's an awesome idea. I mean, we've been batting that around for a while of wanting to do something very similar in that kind of an online summit. That
the problem is that it requires a lot of work.
We don't do pre-work. We can avoid it.
You haven't realized watching this show every week. Lauren said to me in the green room, "So what did you think of the links of what we're going to talk about today?" I was like, "Good."
Yeah, that's all good stuff. All good stuff. Yeah, which we do have. And Darlene, you, of course, after we get finished talking with you more about the Leonardo, we're going to be talking about some news on more than one, and throw into your sense of all that kind of stuff too. So, but anyway, back to your guidance of topics. So, what would you like to continue with?
Well, I think we may have beaten the democratization thing to death, but I think, it's about, it's not the technology per se, right, that needs to be affordable. It's about these business problems that we're solving. And Lauren, we talked a little bit about this at the HSMAI Leadership Conference about how, we have, most hotel marketers have 3 or 4 business problems that they're trying to solve, right? And I think if we can just get our heads around, and this is what I try and do when I think about technology, is distill it down to, okay, what am I helping someone do? Am I helping them reduce their costs, increase their revenue, take the agony out of managing the process? And so for me, if we frame technology back to those business problems, then that I think helps people get their heads around it and understand that it isn't about technology for technology's sake.
So I have a couple questions for you, specifically about Vizilly. When you talk about those problems as one thing, and when you talk about this focus on content as the other, can you talk a little bit about how Vizilly helps with that specifically? What is it that Vizilly enables? What is it that it helps with from that particular, from that perspective? Because I think that'd be really helpful for folks.
You mean from a content management standpoint?
From a content management standpoint, from a content support standpoint.
But the service side of software as a service.
Yeah. Thank you, Ed. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what it does is it enables a hotel marketer who doesn't know much about technology. It enables them to curate their content in a way that helps them tell their story better. So they can collect all their media together, then they can write short descriptions and captions that support it, and then they organize it in a way that moves consumers down that shopping journey, ultimately to the check rates or the book now button. So that's really its claim to fame.
Got it. And you're integrated with the typical booking engines, the Sabres, the TravelClicks.
Yeah, we're booking engine agnostic. We'll connect to anybody.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very
So
I'll get that.
Oh, it's
Hello?
Jason Garza.
Usually it is actually Tim's office. I think he has people call him while he's on the show just to,
He does.
make it look like, my gosh, this is very important.
I'm actually just dialing the landline from the phone from the mobile. Oh wait, it's been too long. We need another phone.
So
He's just trying to show off his new iPhone 7. Again.
Yeah, the amount of times that's been on screen already
is that the black on black?
Equal to the amount of time.
This is the regular black.
Cornell.
No, it's not jet black.
It's not the jet black. I didn't like it. I like
Boo.
It's an interesting phone. I like it. It's good.
I like the
camera. The camera is awesome. The camera is.
I think
Since we talk about content, the camera is spectacular.
my Android is coming up for renewal, but I think I'm going to wind up with the new Google Pixel.
That they're announcing in a couple weeks. Yeah.
HTC, the Marlin, I believe, but we'll see.
Do you think there's gonna like not explode in your pocket? I think it's just a Samsung thing.
Those are Samsung batteries.
That is
HTC. Actually, I had an HTC phone a while
Those
ago.
are great
I still have all of my phones dating back to like 2000. It's like this little archive.
How many of you have flown in the last 2 weeks?
Oh yeah,
right?
that's a weird announcement, isn't it? Yeah,
That is the weirdest announcement I have.
I'll tell you what, Tim Cook loves that announcement.
Tim Cook is paying for that announcement.
I have never heard anything like that in my life. Welcome to your flight. If you have this specific model of phone, turn it off, throw it in the garbage. It's you're going to blow up the plane.
Making foolish choices.
Yeah, I actually
Take it back to the restroom. We will flush it.
I actually witnessed when I was passing through in Charlotte on the way back from when I saw Darlene last in DC, that somebody was on a note and the gate attendants actually came over and asked them to watch them power it off and asked if they could take the battery out as well. Weird stuff. It was like, I was like, wow, you're actually looking for people that have these things. It was just, but it's a weird one.
When Samsung manufactures 7 million bombs, the first place to take notice is going to be public transportation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, now the flight attendants have something useful to do.
Wow.
Yeah. Did I say that?
You fit right in.
You do. You fit right in with this. This is all good. Hey,
Exactly.
all right. So we've had the pleasure of talking about story and the customer journey and so forth, and we talked about democratization. But a little twist to some of that was we had a great conversation with Henry last week. It's really ironically great that we could have you on this week because kind of the same messaging goes through, and that is the rich media usage, the storytelling, and its real powerful value as content. How do you see all this going in the future? I mean, you've watched it evolve as to first just providing pictures was a struggle in itself, and now it's the adaptive use of them, the content value of them, the telling of the story with them. Where do you see all this going? How do you see it evolving, I guess?
It's all about AI. And I'm sure everybody here is familiar with WayBlazer and what those guys are doing. But I think that's the next evolution, both in terms of text, but also voice. And so I think that once AI becomes part of our, I'll call it everyday sort of technology, the backbone, I think we're going to start to see people, we talked about seasonality in travel, right? So if I'm able, without a lot of effort, to use AI in the background to show pictures of the property during the fall, when someone is, when their travel dates reflect the fall season, as opposed to, ski slopes in the winter, then now I'm really getting to the heart of some meaningful targeting and things that are going to be very compelling to consumers because they are more personalized. And I think all of this just moves content down the road, bringing it closer to the consumer in a way that is much more meaningful. And it's all about artificial intelligence.
Yeah, well, and I would argue that even before artificial intelligence, there are a lot of things hotels can do now,
Sure.
right? If somebody's pushing for particular dates, things like that in the booking widget, boom, things can change. And that's what I was mentioning earlier about the websites having to have be a little bit more robust to be able to handle those things. And the hotel industry isn't quite there yet. But that is really where it's going to wind up coming because, for example, I'm going to a football game at Jerry World here in Dallas, right? But it's not a California.
What's the name of that place?
Jerry World.
Jerry World.
Oh my God.
Jerry World,
like
AT&T Stadium.
So was it just like
it's a stadium,
super cheap stadium to get a naming sake on? Like, can we get Robert Cole went to Cornell as the new name?
No. This is Jerry Jones' billion-dollar stadium that the city of Arlington gave to him.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the world's largest gift.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it Jerry's World because he was the yeah. Okay.
I got you. I thought that was like.
The game is actually Texas Tech versus Baylor, right? And so you it's kind of over Thanksgiving, so you kind of think, well, boy, there are going to be a bunch of people, maybe not from Dallas, they're from Houston. How is this going to work? That's a real opportunity. I mean, they're going to have a lot of people coming in for that game, and for hotels around that area, they should have something to say, hey, here's this giant, demand generator. Now, right next to it is, the Rangers Stadium, the ballpark at Arlington. That's another demand generator. Right down the street is Six Flags. Those are kind of three really different paths. And a hotel that's in that location probably needs to have something that works for SEO, for all of those things, with some nice robust landing pages that show here's a picture of the hotel with the stadium right behind it, maybe with a zoom lens and that sort of thing. To basically say, look at how this is how we're well suited.
It'd actually be more interesting if they could
solve
which team you liked and could totally take that angle.
Well, and you certainly could do that with Facebook and pop up little ads.
Watch Baylor play catch as Texas Tech stands on the field.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
well, obviously you're a friend of Sarah Kennedy Ellis. With my daughter at Texas Tech, just let's watch their quarterback throw for about 2,000 yards.
Right, because it's a big game of catch, the Texas Tech Baylor game.
Oh yeah,
there's no defense involved on either side. It'll be like 135 to like 130.
Yeah, whoever can sustain without incurring exhaustion. First, the wide
we don't
receiver
block
core.
in Texas.
But anyway, that's an example where to do that and to do it from an SEO perspective and to have it event oriented, and to tie it into your social and things like that, to how to do it. Those are lots of moving parts, which again, the start is, how do you get your content management system and your website to really
I actually think the start is the core to compile the content,
but then to go out. Right.
Well, and Lauren, as Robert was talking about these events, I'm thinking that consumers' searching behavior is changing, right? And so consumers don't type in the search bar anymore, hotels in Dallas or hotels in Arlington. They're getting smarter about hotels in Arlington, close to Jerry World and, Chili's or whatever. So they're using these long tail search terms. So the hotels that figure out, okay, here's what I'm bringing to the table. I'm right next to the stadium and I'm close to these restaurants and I'm, across the street from the ballpark, et cetera. To the extent that they're using that in their search terms in the back end, I mean, those are the guys that are going to surface to the top of the search engine results pages, right?
There's actually a team at TripAdvisor who literally, they have a guy who just works on near me as searches, right? So it's finding all those things that people are searching for, blank near me. And literally they have one person whose job is making sure they have the right content, making sure they have the right messaging, making sure they got the right pages, et cetera, that contain those terms. So that when people are searching for blank near me, they show up.
as well. And the reason is they've got big money riding on it, because if you do search hotels close to Jerry World, right, and just kind of that generic, what the hell
doing a
is
search
that
for that right now on my new phone.
Oh no, I just did. And number one in the number one ad response is TripAdvisor, hotels near Cowboys Stadium. Number 2, Booking.com. Number 3, Hotels.com. Number 4, Expedia.
Right, but did you search for hotels near Jerry World? Because that's actually,
I did.
Did you?
Oh no, that's exactly what I
got
searched.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
Google knew what he meant.
That's what they did. And then you've got the 3-pack, which I'm not exactly sure how Holiday in Arlington, now Northeast Rangers Ballpark, which is interesting. Sleep in Arlington near Six Flags.
Good for that.
And then Sheraton Arlington Hotel. So it's very interesting. So yes, build it in with your name. But when you're in Arlington, you've got 3 big demand generators, right? Which are all generating millions of people.
But then 3-pack, Robert. You and I get a different 3-pack.
Yeah, you should get a different 3-pack because he's in his location being where he is.
I'm located in Dallas, right? So what 3-pack? Interestingly, what 3-pack?
I did get the Holiday Inn. I got the Holiday Inn Arlington Northeast Rangers Ballpark. I got the Sheraton Arlington Hotel, and I got the Econo Lodge Inn and Suites, Six Flags.
And I got different ones.
Same points of location, but different results. What'd you get, Darlene?
Okay.
I got the Hampton Inn, Sheraton Arlington, and I also got the Holiday Inn Arlington.
So Holiday Inn.
I also
Holiday Inn rather. They're doing great.
Yeah, I anonymized my results too, so they aren't tailored to me.
Well, this ties together very nicely on a couple of things. One is the AI comment that you made, Darlene. What's the last estimate that everybody's thinking that Google's AI for search is? Is it 25, 30% now, or they think it's higher? It started at 15.
In terms of the volume of search that they're applying AI to?
Yeah.
I actually heard a number the other day. It is 25% or something like that, but the number is a little misleading because it's more like it's 100% of some kinds of searches and it's 0% of other kinds of searches. So it's not quite what it means when you hear 25%. It really depends on the search itself.
So going to the AI component, it was kind of funny. I was talking to a class at UNT remote. The professor asked me to chime into her new hospitality class each year when they roll around, and I was quoting you. I was emulating you, Tim, on the impact of the iPhone 7, the earbuds that we talked about. The real impact of it is that it's mainstreaming more of the conversational query results and so forth. And to tie that to the link that I shared out about this new Google Trip app. And the thing I thought was really impactful about it is I have tried for years to make great itinerary apps or something that would work for somebody to develop their destination discovery phase. And here Google comes along, and it's not just because they can do it offline or because they can tie together your interests. They're sucking all the data out of your Gmail and all of your SERP info and tailoring the results of your query or information around your area to specifically what they know about you. So going back to the AI blend, it's like now you have an
based on your YouTube right-hand side, I think you'll have a very different experience when you search through their app than the rest of us will.
You know what I found interesting? I know every lingerie store is in this area. I have no idea why. I've never been to it.
It's amazing.
Darlene, what happens is when I shared my screen one time, all the suggested YouTube on the side had some very interesting YouTube stuff. And I'm sitting there going, okay, sure.
That's when Lauren learned about incognito tab.
That's right. That's what I learned from now on. But did you guys get a chance to take a look at the app or what they're talking about? Let me throw up the link on the article real quick. It was covered by MarketLearn on it. I thought it was kind of interesting because then they bash the heck out of what is it? What is Google's messenger app that they're rolling out? Allo.
Allo.
Yeah.
No, Allo sucks.
Yeah.
Google. Well, being an Android user, I will tell you the big problem. I mean, at first, Google always has a commitment issue with its messaging apps. So it goes, from phase to phase. So basically, I use Hangouts. Because Google Voice integrates with it, and you can get text. Basically, it will transcribe your voice messages and things like that. So that works fairly well. Hangouts is not so great for MMS, but it kind of works. The best review I heard of Allo was that it was produced by Google to make people feel that Hangouts wasn't so bad. Because what they did was, before they did Allo, they did Messenger, which was kind of the default onto Android.
Oh, voice.
At least
for
Google
Voice too, which
for Marshmallow. Right. Yeah. Google Voice has gotten kind of rolled into Hangouts and all this other stuff. It's been kind of pushed down the priority list. But Messenger was a pretty good. The interface was better than Hangouts, but it only worked for native messaging on your phone and on your mobile carrier. So it didn't work on your desktop and things like that. And what I have on my desktop is, I have Hangouts. So if somebody calls, it goes through Google Voice. It comes up. I can pick it up if I have a headset or whatever on my phone. I can on this. If I send text messages, it's all synced up and everything works okay. Not so well for MMSs, not so good for multiple person MMSs, not so hot. But Allo doesn't do that. Allo is like this small subset, and then they came up with Duo for this video thing, and you're like, what the hell are you doing breaking this into various? It reminded me of Foursquare breaking off Swarm, and you're like, what the hell? You're moving backwards. You are not. Yeah, you're not going.
Yeah, but somehow Facebook was able to get their chatting separated successfully. Oh, wait, it's because they focused on
that's
it.
True.
And they committed to it, and they improved its experience and took it seriously. Where Google was like, we can split stuff up.
Well, but that's Google's. But that's Google's problem always, is that they take their eye off the ball. They get excited by the new. They get excited by the shiny. They're a little paranoid about somebody coming in and taking their lunch, and so they jump from thing to thing to thing. How many
they
messaging
like to be
apps,
early.
How many? Yeah, but how many messaging apps does Google actually make?
Oh, probably 24, because YouTube has messaging in it now.
Right. Google Voice, Hangouts,
Google Plus. Google Plus was just up.
G Plus has a chat.
Yeah. So
people still go to Google Plus?
Very, very dedicated set of people who are into very niche types of topics.
So it's Google employees?
No, it's
people like Google employees.
You know what Google Plus has become? Google Plus has become Flickr with a social network. Photographers love it.
Right. Yeah.
It's got people who are really into photography, really big at stuff like that. I posted a link a moment ago. I talk about AgFam all the time. So Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. And they all make a search engine of some kind, right? They all are in search. Mostly they all have a social network or multiple. Apple does not, but the others all do. They all do display advertising in some form or other. They all do mobile in many different forms. They all make a web browser, right? Even Amazon, because Kindle comes with its own distinct web browser called Silk. They all do email. They all do communications. They all do cloud. They all do location-based services. They all do payments. They all do wearables, with the exception of Amazon. And they all have a bunch of other stuff.
No, you can strap an Echo onto your wrist. You haven't seen that? It's very...
Hold on.
Before we lose Darlene was sweet enough to go over. Before we lose Darlene.
Oh, yeah.
Because we'll go off on our rabbit holes, I'm sure, on a couple of these things. But Darlene, anything else that you would like to chat about? And of course, before we get too far along, if people want to find out more about what Leonardo is doing and products and services, how is it best for people to reach you?
Thank you, Lauren. I love this kind of environment. We believe that all ships rise with the tide, right? So to the extent that we share and we all get smarter about digital marketing and how it can move the dial for hotel companies, everybody wins, right? Suppliers win, hotels win, consumers win. So this has been a lot of fun and informative, right? And I hope for our audience, they walk away from today learning something they didn't know before.
I think they have. I've definitely learned more about what Leonardo product than I had before, which is always a helpful asset. And I've seen you now every week for the past 3 weeks, which is unique.
Right.
From not seeing you for a while to all of a sudden every week seeing you in some context. Boca, DC, now here. So thank you very much for having joined us.
And in one thing, in defense of WordPress, I believe there's going to be a Leonardo page on timpeter.com within.
Actually, I just posted a link to Leonardo webinar of 2015 Trends in Hospitality Digital Marketing for 2016 that I participated in with Darlene last October. So there is a Leonardo link on tipfeeder.com.
And
I've got some.
We just launched the new Vizilly website today, Vizilly.com. And
awesome.
So check it out. And Tim, time for another web event.
Rock on, I'm there.
Okay, all right. Thanks, you guys. It was fun.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I just want to finish the thought I was making.
Oh,
no,
that's too. Wait, just interrupt. I was thinking we would catch her saying, "Thank God that's over." But she went off air too quickly.
That's classic. So no, I just to finish that point, because it actually was building on what Darlene was saying about AI and the data collected. I mean, we're talking about the same stuff, right? But these 5 players are the ones who connect with customers at just about every touch point. And that's the reason they're leading on this stuff. That's the reason they're focusing on this. And that's the reason why, for the folks who are watching this show, your content is so important. Because realistically, when you ask a question of an AI, or you ask a question of a search, or you look at something on social, they need the content to answer the question. And if you have good content, you're going to show up. And if you don't have good content, you don't exist.
Right.
So that's, for hotel marketers, for the folks who are watching this show, that's the part, you're not going to compete with these guys and go create your own eye. That's not even the point. The point is making sure you're available for the AI to answer the question with, and your content being the thing that people can find.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think is going to be fascinating on the evolution of AI, especially with these players, the ad-driven players, is what's the trade-off between the bidding process, right, to get visibility, and truly the best fit, right? Because you get enough intelligence in it, you go, you know what, this is the one. You don't need to give them a 3-pack. You just give them the Sheraton or the Sleep Inn, whichever one, right? And that's the best fit. Or
when it gets really good,
the Holiday Inn's bidding more, right?
When it gets really good, it's going to be a different type of ad, right? And when bidders exist for that type of ad, you will see AI match. And when it isn't, go to normal bidding is how I think they'll probably take a first stab at it. And then eventually everyone will go to the AI bidding, especially if you know you're a good match. You're going to be like, I'm the best match.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, and my other prediction is that they'll start doing kind of the similar pattern that say Expedia did, is start revealing where you stack up, right? And the sort, and you go, hey, if you're down here, you've got to go bid more or whatever to go climb to the top of the list, right?
And Expedia has just said they're going to stop dimming people. They're going to, actually let. We're not just going to do it based on what
and like dimming. But merchandising is what people were actually getting upset about. If they had a system-wide switch to dim a brand or something like that. But market results that's merchandising. You give up merchandising. So what are they going to go? Alphabetical?
Right.
No. Is going to come up? No, they're still going to. They're just going to manually dim people.
Right.
I threw out, you remind me, there was a great conversation on the revenue board's call yesterday, and I ended up sharing those links. I thought, totally out of the way. I didn't even tell you guys that I had these things. It just would be shocking. It's like, wow, I thought they're interesting sites. I never knew they existed. They're stat sites for Airbnb inventory in markets. I mean, all markets aren't shown yet. I didn't know that those were around. I mean, I knew there was some.
They scrape them, and there is a difference in the scrape data. Than the actual direct data. So not only are these are also discuss how to take them with a grain of salt and by how close are they to it.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Which then leads us to a news story that I didn't tell any of you about that I thought would be interesting to talk about, which is Expedia's revenue tool.
And I didn't even know about this. I didn't know about this. Yeah.
Can we talk about this? I want to talk about this so bad.
Oh yeah,
it's brilliant.
The B2B end of the OTA market. Yes.
All right, so you all go first, and then I'll do my rant.
I don't know about it. He told me to know in the green room, and I'm like, I didn't know that. So I'm in the dark about this one. You got a link to throw. That'd be awesome. I hadn't seen
it on Expedia's side. It's
Yeah.
Expedia doing a mix of the right thing for hotels and the right thing for them. The difference is it's the right thing for hotels right now. Yeah, it's good. It's an extra set of data set to look at, and it'll help guide you. It's a great thing for Expedia because we know how hotels will go, and over the next 2 or 3 years, there will become people who make all their pricing decisions not just on Expedia's channel, but on every channel. Expedia tools are telling them.
Hell's yes. It is
brilliant.
It's incredible. It's incredibly great in the short term for hotels, and it's incredibly terrifying in the long term for hotels.
With the caveat of use it correctly, it'll for you. Use it the way Expedia knows you're going to use it. It works for them. And
Yes, Expedia will not release anything that will not go well for them.
Right.
Or if they figure it out, it will.
That's one thing as a company they've always done well.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They're a data-driven organization, and they have been since. Well, maybe not at inception. They kind of knocked off a lot of Travelocity things, and but once they started getting into the Travelscape. Yeah, and I think once they really looked at what HRN was doing, even though they had very rudimentary stats, they went, "Oh, that's a little different than what we're doing."
Yep.
And I think they're looking to catch flies with honey and not with vinegar.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So to be clear, good on Expedia putting out something that is beneficial for hotels. Hotels use it correctly,
right?
And you don't. Use it behaviorally as we've seen the industry use things, and it'll be a gigantic winner on this. You'll have something new to complain about in about 3 years.
Brilliant.
That's well said, Ed. That's well said. So you could beat the Christmas rush and just start complaining about it now. But
No. I have to repeat the way hotels manage disruption is a 4-stage process. Stage 1 is to ignore it. Stage 2 is to continue to ignore it when someone tells you should be paying attention to it. Stage 3 is to panic, and then stage 4 is to complain about it. And that's it. That's pretty much. And every single disruption has been handled that way since as far back as I can remember, which is a long time.
Back to when you worked at Four Seasons?
No, this was out of Cornell. Just out of Cornell.
This was
just out of Cornell.
Pre-Cornell.
Okay, no, this was cool.
So it also in that same conversation with the revenue call yesterday, there was an interesting contribution that they were dealing with some of their RET ownership people, and the RET ownership came in. This is something you said, Ed, about next year's forecast, below the revenue manager's forecasts, which is usually unheard of. Usually, RET is always 2 points up or something compared because they're always trying to yield out. To,
for everyone who speaks like Wall Street terms, you're saying REIT, correct?
I know. I'm saying REIT. I say RET. It's REIT.
Okay, I just want to make sure that there's not something I don't know. RET could be something new.
I say the way I spell.
Wasn't picking on
I always
you.
miss
I
a
wanted
letter.
To make sure.
A REIT.
There's no I in REIT.
Yeah, there's no I in REIT. Ain't no we either. But it was a kind of an inversion of what normally happens, where they're optimizing beyond revenue forecast, but they actually look like they're hedging their bets. Was the consensus of like they're coming under revenue expectations so that they don't have to answer to the overextension of the.
Well, it's also so they can get one more year of beating expectations.
Right, sandbagging.
Yep, sandbagging. Yeah,
well,
yeah,
and just because I happen to keep track of these stats on a week-to-week basis since. For the last 10 years, just quarter-to-date stats for third quarter, occupancy is down 0.4% versus the same period last year, which is not great. Average rate is up, average rate is up 3.6%, which means RevPAR is up about 3.2. This is again the classic pattern that was occurring in 2007, when things before the major global financial crisis, the hotel industry was peaking off and starting to go into recession. Now, the one thing that I find really interesting is the hotel companies are all getting very negative about it. these are record high.
Right.
Record high occupancies. And what's fundamentally happening is the hotel industry is kind of hitting the ceiling and having to deal with higher costs. Right. And that's the problem.
Well, and the other thing that I think is interesting about those numbers is the last two downturns were unusual in that in most markets, real estate and hospitality, there's no such thing as a global hospitality market. There's no such thing as a global real estate market, right? It goes market by market.
Unless there's a global event.
Unless there's a global event like we had in 2001, 2002, and like we had in 2008, 2009. So it's going to be interesting. This is the first one we've had in a while that hopefully will have no global event tied to it.
The Fed's trying to make sure of it. I mean, they're setting up 2017 to be a bear market on the street.
Sure.
By not changing policy now and going with interest rate flex, that is going to push the bubble a bit.
Right.
And cause it to slowly pull back, which is what the Fed should be doing.
Absolutely.
Rather than, causing panic and everything.
Right. Throwing coal on the fire.
Right. But here's the thing, that you really have to look at, and everyone's still shell-shocked from the last one, because the last one, everything went down.
Right. It's very quick too. Wasn't like
it was
it was 30 days around the back of everything.
I worked for a company that had I should know this off the top of my head, 30,000 rooms of inventory, and we lost 5,000 room nights off the books in a day. Like literally on Tuesday we had 5,000 room nights scheduled for the year, and on Wednesday those 5,000 room nights were gone because the company that had booked them went out of business. Right. But the reason I bring this up is because I expect this is going to vary market by market. There are markets today that are feeling the numbers Robert just said worse already, where occupancies are down more and RevPAR and ADRs are up less.
I've got to imagine it's Puerto Rico is one of them. I'm going to Puerto Rico next weekend for the Chief Conference, and was blown away by the price I was able to book the hotel at. I mean, it was shocking.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is the Caribbean's getting hit with Zika.
Zika fears.
It's losing. It's not a major.
What's Zika?
Don't worry.
You live in Florida. Nothing you got to worry about.
Yeah, we have nothing to worry about.
But again, that's taking a little bit, that's the problem for these hotels. And the same thing that happens with the Airbnb effect. It shaves stuff kind of off at the top that should be a peak period, and then
but the reason
quite get there.
I want to make this one point. This is killing me. If I could just finish this one thing, because this is killing me. What I always advise hotels in this case is this is the time to get really smart about how you yield, because don't race your competition to the bottom. When they start giving away rooms and giving away rates, you just accelerate your own demise when you follow them. Focus on value, focus on value adds, focus on packaging, focus on putting together the kinds of offers where you can make a couple extra bucks, even if your occupancy is going to take a little bit of a hit, and you can have your RevPAR index still do better than your comp set. Don't follow people who are doing stupid things.
Run down.
Oh my God, it makes me crazy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There are revenue management systems.
Oh, well, they will advise you to do
the majority of their decisions on market movement.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my God, I use this line all the time, but it's that feeling of, why do you stop hitting yourself in the head with a hammer? Well, because it feels so good when I stop. Okay, well then don't start doing it in the first place.
Okay,
makes me crazy.
Let me throw out one stat that came out of DC's direct booking conference that I thought was bizarre. The lawyer was doing a master's class on OTA contract negotiations. It was very cool, and it echoed a lot of what you had talked about on the show about talking to OTAs now, how to talk to them. This lawyer almost took it right out of your playbook, and he did a great job. But he was also talking about Airbnb, and he made an interesting stat. He says up to 99%, he says 98, 99% of Airbnb inventory. The reason why I can't penetrate the business market is that they're one-time renters only, and they never rent the space again. So it's a perpetually lost inventory. And with business travelers, they need consistency to it. And I thought that was an amazing stat that 99% of Airbnb
But it doesn't,
is one-time rental.
It's not surprising. I mean, Airbnb came at a time that for the first time in history, people were willing to allow strangers to be somewhere that normally they would never. Like, they wouldn't allow a friend of a friend to stay in their vacation. Because their stuff is there. But here's the thing. They were facing losing that and their primary home, or put it up and make some revenue on it finally. Because here's the thing. Renting your vacation home has always been an option.
Always.
It's really a long time. So, but why they came up is there were more people willing to entertain the idea. Now, what's happening? The economy's doing this. And magically, there are people who will still entertain the idea because it's mainstream. But as soon as they get a taste of it, they're like, holy crap, nope. I'm never going to do that again. And they're going to lose that inventory until the next time that that person needs to make a mortgage payment that they can't make.
That's right.
And
we lost you, Ed.
Ed, I think,
Either that or you've had a stroke.
So this is
it's the former.
It's got to be the first one.
Can you hear me? Did I lose you?
Yeah,
but with Airbnb,
we have audio. We have no
with
picture.
we don't have no picture right now.
Yeah,
that's fine.
With Airbnb, the one thing is, though, the satisfaction level from the guest is generally, and at least the Net Promoter Score, are fairly high. The people who try it go, I like it, I'll do it again. So it's completely a supply play. They certainly, when you look at the breakdown of the amount of business they generate from whole unit sales, which are done by hosts with multiple units and large numbers of days per year. Yes, those will get legislated out of existence, but it's still freaking huge.
But here's the thing,
and the problem for the hotel industry, is that it's dynamic supply, and that anything that's dynamic supply, you've got to be very, very careful with.
But here's the thing, like with the Net Promoter Score, how much of that is actually the experience while you're there, and how much of it is just Airbnb strings it together better than anyone selling hotels does?
70-30. Yeah, 70-30. And 70-30 in favor of the experience while you're there. The experience while you're there has
there's a huge amount the hotels can do to just improve the overall experience and make this less of a threat.
Without a good hotelier to be able to kick Airbnb's ass every single day.
Yes.
But
every day.
Here's the problem. But here's the problem between, it doesn't matter, go down REITs, the brands, everybody, the hotel owners, is let's set up the hotel and the investments to work well for Wall Street and investors. So what are we going to do? We're going to go asset light, right? And we're going to lease out the food and beverage spaces. And I mean, I was speaking with a major group in Hawaii, right, for a thing I'm doing for Focusrite. The number of concierge desks that are not run by hotels in Hawaii is staggering.
I can imagine.
It's
Key West is like that too.
Mostly a tour operator.
Orlando.
Right. And Expedia does it, very well in Orlando and Anaheim and Vegas, all sorts of different areas. And they just go, we're now running out. So all of a sudden,
those aren't hotels. Those are real estate operating. I mean,
REITs are
REITs. But a lot of these are hotels.
Robert, right? I'm using hotels in a very specific case. They're not being run by hotel operators. They're being run by the real estate department.
Oh no, exactly.
I'm saying if you're a good hotel, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But they have intense pressure from ownership, from brands, sometimes management company, whoever is trying, because even a management company is sitting there going, well, wait a second, if you've got a drag on profits, that's the food and beverage, the food and beverage margins aren't as strong, and we've got some incentives built on this. What can we do to get rid of this
but here's the thing. They're going to wake up to that eventually, because they're going to say, hey, how come these hotels that I own over here, where we don't actually provide a great guest experience, underperform the ones over here that perform I mean, this is
but you see major groups. Hilton goes and eliminates room service from the New York Hilton. And you look at it and you go, really? You can't figure out with 2,000 rooms and all those people how to make that work. And it's like, come on, that's just
they have Urban Kitchen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you got to go downstairs and all that stuff, and you go, gee, while I'm downstairs getting stuff, maybe I'll just go over to Starbucks or something, or here's a line of people.
It's a line of people. Coffee in the room.
Right? Yeah, there's no coffee in the room either. It's just like brilliant thing. I'm not going to head into this conversation for this because for the thing that I think is being missed out of this, you keep making as a strong point. It's creating relationship-based value with your guests.
Right.
And so instead of the revenue managers distressing by following market down to the basement, it's you have this comfortable relationship with your users of your product. You know, if you build that relationship, you're not worried about the rate drop in your market because you have to follow it. You know that you have integrity of the people that are your product, and you market them and you give them good service as you're putting out to them. That, you know, from a hotel point of view. I think, Ed, you said it. It's much easier to work with hotels that are run by hoteliers than it is the other way around. And when, as long as they realize that they're providing hospitality and they develop the relationship with membership via whatever Flip.to services are, whatever means that they use to do that, that's the security in the market. And it's going to take a downturn. And to your point, Tim, the hotels that are succeeding are the ones that are taking on those strategies now and developing those relationships compared to the ones that just don't know who's coming in the door next. And it's based on rate.
I'm going to make a commitment right now. I have a client who's going live with Flip.to right now, even as we speak. And my hope, my expectation, I'm not even going to say my hope, my expectation is in 6 months, as long as the client allows, I plan to come on here and do a commercial for Flip.to because I think it's exactly the right approach.
It's one of them. I mean, let's be fair. It's one of them.
Well, don't get me wrong. Let me make a point here real quick. This specific client, we're at 108 in terms of ADR index. We're at 109 in terms of occupancy index, and we're at 115 in terms of RevPAR index. So we're doing a lot right already. These guys run a spectacular hotel, which makes it really easy to sell. They have a really good marketing plan, if I do say so, but we're looking at how do we build on that success, right? Flip.to is the next piece in the puzzle. You know, if we're operating at 113 RevPAR index next year, then Flip.to didn't help. But my expectation is that that's going to take us from being 115 RevPAR to 118, right? It's not 100% of it, but it's a critical piece,
right?
And the market, with already cutting rate, we might be indexing at 130.
Actually, I would say you probably won't be indexing at 130.
No, I know.
Because no, and that's an important thing for the hotels to know, though, because you do reach a point of diminishing returns on this. Because, and I hate to bring up the company I used to work for a long time ago.
You must.
No,
you must.
I'm sorry. What company was it that?
What company was that, Robert? I'm sorry.
That was a very valuable lesson for a major luxury, because they had product in San Antonio. Well, actually, originally, I mean, we're talking a long time ago, their product was in Ottawa, Belleville, Calgary, Edmonton, cities that could not support it. Even when they redid the Olympic in Seattle, that was a stretch because the city at that point wasn't really.
It was still a harbor town.
No, it was a Boeing town. I mean, that was about it. Boeing and Weyerhaeuser, right? It was lumber and airplanes. But again, you have to kind of fit the product for it. And all of a sudden, if you really start overproducing, yes, you can, but you aren't going to be driving occupancy. You may be able to drive rate. But then you get yourself into another really difficult position, which is you're perceived as being expensive, right? And it's just like, we can't go there. And again, the most horrifying thing that happened at Four Seasons was in Houston, okay? When the oil market fell apart in 1984, 85. They had Exxon's board of directors meeting, year one, let's say 1984, at the Inn on the Park. Carte blanche, right? I mean, it was whatever you charge. They were charging them $500 a night. Everybody's in suites, gold service. They're doing it all, right? And they did it for whatever per person for this 1 or 2 nights was probably $1,200, something like that. So this was a big chunk of wallet. The Exxon guys came back and thought that was great because they had budgeted $2,500. Right? It was just great. Next year, oil market collapses. They go back to them. They're having the board meeting again in Houston, and Four Seasons could not get the business. Where did it go? It went to the former Rosewood, which became an independent, and it was whatever at $59 a night.
No.
And Four Seasons offered to match that rate.
Oh,
no. No, oh, no. No. I was running marketing plan. That was a bad move.
What? No,
but
not.
No. I told them don't do that, but because you aren't going to get the business. What did Exxon tell them? Even if you match the rate, we can't stay with you because it sends the wrong message. We've laid off people for the first time in our history. We cannot do that.
We lost a lot of business at leading hotels in 2009 for exactly the same reason. We can't take government money on one hand and actually stay in your hotels on the other hand.
The AIG
effect. But I want to, Robert, one of my favorite words, I use this word constantly, and I use it when I talk to rev managers. I use it when I talk to
I do too. TimPeter.com.
No.
TimPeter.com.
No, one of my other favorite words is value. I actually gave a talk at HSMAI New York last week, and it's called The High Cost of Ignoring Value. And you're absolutely right. I don't know where we will end up in terms of RevPAR index, but you're absolutely right. You must provide value. I think that what we're going to be able to do with Flip.to, because we're going to be able to get essentially customer testimonials, customer insights, customer information that shows people enjoying their stay and getting the right value for their stay. I think we're still going to index above whatever the market is, even if the market declines some.
Well, especially when you get the free inclusion of what we're releasing by the end of the year. Which
what? Yeah. So
sexy.
Are you prepared to make an announcement?
And are you willing to guarantee it will be released by the end of the year?
Bug free, yes. End of the year easily. The first major release of the infrastructure is going to be in October. And then because that's what we do. That's how we build. We build infrastructure first, with a sneak peek by improving existing things that the infrastructure gave us. But then we'll quickly iterate, make it look like we're building the stuff at lightning speed on building out the vision. And the vision is true dynamic personalization.
Wow. Yeah.
That's well. And just one thing to add to Tim, and that's fantastic. The key is customer lifetime value, because I don't think your RevPAR index and how you're doing will start capping off. But if you can start building up kind of that store of goodwill and preference and being a favorite, that's what carries you.
Well, because you're not having to constantly pay to acquire more customers because you're burning them. It's a wonderful thing when you actually build relationships. Cost of acquisition drops. So you may not get a higher rate, but you're going to pay a crap ton less to get someone to pay the rate that you're at.
Right.
Which quite honestly is what you want anyways. You want lower cost of business. I mean, if you're going to move anymore, keep your top in your top and try to move the bottom down.
That's exactly right. Well, and the other thing that we look at a lot, and this was something we learned very clearly at leading hotels during the last downturn, was the properties that were most successful. Now, these are properties that were selling for rates even in the downturn that were significantly above market, right? I mean, these are the finest hotels in the world. But what they were able to do, what the really successful hotels were able to do, was instead of lowering rate, just focus on value add. Focus on, we're going to give you more for what you're paying, but we're still going to hold rate, because what you don't want to do is create a depressed expectation of guests of what the value of your product is. Clawing back those rates over time, that's what we've been doing for the last 8 years.
Right. And to pat myself on that was the big change of marketing planning at Four Seasons in the mid 80s. We stopped doing that. And that's what saved because let me tell you, before that, Four Seasons, those owners would get killed during downturns because they were doing it wrong. They were cutting rate. They were doing all sorts of crazy,
like giving the room for $59.
Yeah, really.
Oh, well, no. Well, actually, there was an example during that period, and again, the Inn on the Park in Houston was just so, and it's an Omni now, and it's fine, but it was a great little hotel. Aside from the floods they had when the Buffalo Bayou would flood their garage, you don't want on the news floating Mercedes and BMWs. That wasn't so good.
So we've often said that this.
But, sorry, no. One thing with that though, they took airline crew rooms. And because it wasn't a public rate, they had 0 dates that they were going to displace transient business. And the way we convinced the Swiss GM, who's a great GM, was he would have attractive French women smoking cigarettes in his bar. And that was the tipping point. Well, okay.
I love
because
it.
There was nobody in the
Wow.
bar. And they were keeping it open, and again, they were doing we can't shut down the facilities we have to offer, even though there aren't very many people, we've got to offer this experience.
So we often say that this show, it's almost therapeutic for all of us. We get to vent and talk about things that we don't often get the chance to do. I quote it a lot of times. Last week was a good week, other than being a birthday week. I got a couple of new clients to roll into October with. And I got asked a unique question. I'd love to throw this out to you guys and see how you would answer it. He said, Lauren, if I gave you half this hotel, what's the first thing you'd do?
Which
It's a resort. It's a beach resort. It's a beach resort. They have a cluster of condo ownerships for some of their inventory, not all of their inventory. They have a marina. They have a spa. It's family oriented. They've consolidated their pools. They have a membership club that they're trying to get off the ground. Affordable one. It's a $4,200 to sign up and $200 a month to keep. No
I'd implement Salesforce. Be the first thing I'd do, especially because you said there's a membership. I'd implement Salesforce and I'd start doing real CRM practice, and I would start getting whatever staff I would have at that half of the hotel to adopt Salesforce as a primary touch in their day.
Okay.
Yeah. Integrated all the way through the website. Yeah,
everything.
Calls to action, everything. Yep. Integrate custom phone numbers, something like a
They have Navis. They've been using this.
Yep, Navis.
Yep,
Okay.
great.
But you need to layer Salesforce on top of that.
Okay.
I mean, you really do. Just to be able to operate like a real world-class marketer, Salesforce is needed.
Okay. Tim, what do you think?
I would look at their data hardcore. I would take the things that weren't working and I'd stop doing them altogether. Take those resources and reallocate them towards things that might actually have greater value.
Yeah. I gave him one piece of advice that came out of this show, and that was look for next year as not being as good and start immediately looking at creating relationship value to your current member, to your, not just the membership that you're trying to cultivate, but also your guests, and take your CRM that you're getting from Navis and everything else and start redefining your relationship with them now. Because when the market shifts, they're going to be one of the ones that are going to be under consideration whether people repeat back for next year and all this other stuff. So that's
And
one thing too that I don't think enough hotels, like I think hotels are afraid to talk about it, but like, my gosh, there's a lot of travelers that are like me, which is I travel professionally. So when I want to travel on vacation, I would prefer to travel when your hotel's not doing so well.
Right.
So like, if you have lead times, don't like shield it under this guise of, just a discount. Like, that's actually a benefit to certain people.
Right.
Like, I would prefer, if it were up to me, your hotel would be empty when I stay there.
Yeah.
That's a professional traveler. Professional travelers don't want to deal with all the frustration that they deal with. So if you can start identifying
to burn and things like that in terms of getting there.
So if you can identify your professional travelers, you reach out to them first when you have a need time, before you before you touch anything. And guess what? Treat them like gold.
Absolutely.
Right? So give them a ton more value if you have to. But guess what? Those people will appreciate being at the property when it may not be insane. And that's actually a way to get a different type of loyalty. And then that's a lever. Once you have that built, that's a lever you can pull. That's the first level you pull when a group backs out.
Right.
Or when anything happens that happens in a hotel. Is professional travelers. Let's get them here. Let's tell them, hey, bring your friends.
And
you.
It'd be you. Yeah.
Well, no. But the thing where you say bring your friends, right? All sorts of different programs that go way back before the internet and common things, and certainly Flip.to capitalize on a lot. How do you get more people like you? Hey, because you're an insider, you can give some friends some insider benefits.
The number one,
and we're going to bring them in, and you're going to look like their best friend. They're going to
so right. The number one promotion that I've seen work in time and time again, right, is the thank you sale. But do it with your best customers. Do it with the people who are actually high value customers, because then it is a closed user group. You don't have to worry about rate parity concerns. You don't have to worry about acquiring guests who aren't actually great high value customers. You don't have to worry about people coming in and trashing your property, or dragging a whole bunch of coolers through the lobby.
The cooler crowd, yeah.
You mean the junior? You don't target the junior hockey teams to fill those.
I really don't, actually. No. It's
interesting point.
It's absolutely brilliant. I've seen this work again and again and again and again, and it takes things like good data, like a Navis or Salesforce or something like that, to say,
well, I don't see why, if you were going to invest in Navis, why you wouldn't make the additional investment and throw some Salesforce licenses in. Because here's the thing. Navis is very good at the many things that they do. I think incredibly highly of them. But Salesforce is the best at giving you access and giving you choice on how to do things with your data. The reason why most hotels don't go after Salesforce is because it's not built specifically for hotels.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, use Navis for
to
all of their expertise. They'll make sure your communications are right. They'll make sure all of that happens. But get that data into Salesforce and start seeing what you can see, and start looking at what non-travel companies do with their databases. And, like I said, an example of that is identify who's staying with you not on their own dime. Great. How can we get money from them directly instead of the people that they made that decision with? And can we basically say to them, we'll treat you better if it's your money?
Well, one thing, I mean, obviously, I've mentioned them about you, Ed, already, about them looking into it. I didn't talk to them about Salesforce. That's an excellent suggestion. I'm most excited about the fact that I get to manipulate this membership thing.
Membership is a ton of fun because, I mean, owner referral alone, listen, timeshare companies, they know marketing. If you want to mimic advanced marketing and sales techniques, look at what timeshare companies do, because guess what? They are very good. They understand marketing. They understand all of this. And they also understand every point of conversion, what the exact conversion point is at all levels of their organization. You can ask anyone, hey, an owner refers someone to you that you actually get on the phone with. How many of those do you need to do to get a sale? And everyone in their org can tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a very important point, because you want even the people at the front desk, right? If, let's say, presidential suite, you get a cancellation or whatever, and somebody's coming in for one night and they're a frequent guest, and you go, you know what? Wow, you've been here. I can do this for you, sort of thing. This is great. We really appreciate your business. Would you like to stay in the presidential suite?
And
the go, wow, you're amazing. And they know it's a special deal, and they aren't going to expect it the next time.
Right.
Sort of thing. It's it's showing appreciation, and
but ironically happens.
And
only when I'm traveling on this, whenever I'm traveling with my family, that never happens.
And when you look at timeshare, before they break ground on phase 3, it's 70% sold through.
And it's because they know. They know what
they know.
Hotels can do this too, like getting down to understanding every traveler. Start with that. Start with the big, but you can get down to understanding each person and understanding how best take advantage of the opportunity that you have with them.
And
but the key is also that operational staff. I mean, I remember going to Vegas with our daughter, and this was again, it was kind of a downturn, and we wound up going to I think it was Spago or something like that, and it was slow. Right. And you're sitting there going, wow, these guys, this is not so good. But what did they do? They wound up doing like a Mickey Mouse type pizza, right? Which is really easy to do. For things that they wouldn't do when they're cranking absolute. They're just doing those little things. You go, wow, we probably went back there 3 more times because of it.
Right. And what was your total? Robert, what was your total spend if ballpark? At StOnge.
Oh, it's versus a regular pizza joint.
Yeah, but I mean, what was your total spend?
50%. Oh, I don't know. 40, 50 bucks.
Times
I don't know.
4 visits times.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So $200.
Yeah, for put a couple pieces of a couple pieces of things and having to shuffle it into the oven maybe a little bit more carefully than you would the round pizza.
What was the cost?
That's about
the cost of acquiring you for the second visit?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. No, very true.
Yep.
The only other suggestion I have to start the conversation with them also was make your new manager sit in the same room as your marketing person. If you're, ironically, they're not talking to each other. When I was talking to the revenue people, they didn't understand some of the metrics and data available to marketing. And the marketing guys, they're going, yeah, I had that. And like, well, why aren't you telling him this?
Robert, or Lauren, rather, that's not ironically, that is sadly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Too.
An industry standard.
Yeah. We've just crossed
not a best practice, but a standard.
We've just crossed the 90-minute mark, and it usually takes us about 20 minutes to wind down.
Well, we have a couple of announcements. One is Marriott's finally married to Starwood.
That I was waiting for.
That's finally done. Now it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to happen.
30 brands. For a while, though, they were saying 27, and they finally bumped up to 30. So I'm not sure which 3 of those brands that were getting the short shrift there for the last couple of press announcements.
But then a couple of things that floated around was Club Carlson, their membership thing just launched. I threw it in the mix of stuff just as a contrast. Anything of what they're doing that's different, or are they just following the pattern that everybody else is chasing at this point?
This one I can't really speak to. I don't really have a point of view.
It just seems like everybody's falling in line with it again. And then of course Yahoo, 500 million people just lost their identity. And what, 2 years for Yahoo to admit that?
Yeah, I mean that news broke like before the announcement of their sale was happening. Yeah. It's just now media's like, oh, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Big number of people. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. But I think one of you guys mentioned that when it comes to your security stuff, never answer the question with a legitimate answer. Make up stuff.
I think that was Ed. I think that was Ed.
Was that Ed?
Not me. No.
No, it's probably me. For when you get on hotel Wi-Fi, to if it looks your room number and your name, just make a mistake and see if you get on. Yeah. Because that if somebody's spoofing
your tell you it never works. Like my name is spelt differently in every computer system it's put into.
Oh, sure.
I can imagine.
But let me tell you one thing that I've found. I can't remember if I mentioned this on this or not. But okay, I moved to Texas, and I only had the option of getting Time Warner cable for high-speed internet where I live. And it's like, what? No, this is just crazy, right? So I get it, and I'd had a horrible experience with them in Wisconsin. But come in. The one thing is their PassPoint, which is the Hotspot 2.0 thing. Man, let me tell you, when you go in, I'll be sitting in a restaurant, I'll have great internet access, I'll look down and go, oh, I'm on Wi-Fi because it's secure. And and again, I only do it on PassPoint. I don't do it on the general Time Warner cable Wi-Fi, which is kind of the standard option, which is really frightening. But let me tell you, that ability to just kind of, it finds the strongest signal and goes, oh, the Wi-Fi thing here, we can securely go. It logs me in and goes, really, really nice. But again, once you get on that network, I think things are going to get very interesting because all of a sudden you can start that level of authentication. You can start tying in a lot of really interesting stuff.
Actually, if you've talked to anyone who specializes in like Wi-Fi for commercial use and like the intelligence you can get off of it, it's amazing. Oh my gosh, like it's insane. The intelligence you get off of people using your Wi-Fi. Now, no need for tinfoil hats because it's not being used in the hotel industry. Right. I mean, well, not at scale.
But it's being used in automotive for people heading to dealerships, being used in retail.
Did I ever tell you the time I got in trouble with Marriott back? This is when Wi-Fi was being first introduced into hotels, and Marriott insisted.
YouTube use?
No, no, that's a whole different thing I got in trouble with. There's a restraining order somewhere. I don't know. But
you're using all of our bandwidth.
so Marriott insisted on charging for Wi-Fi, and I convinced our ownership not to charge for Wi-Fi. And to log in at the time, you had to put in your company name or something. I said, well, why don't we change that login to your email address and your name? And so I changed the Wi-Fi system to it, and I started scraping those reports because you get a daily report of who logged into your Wi-Fi. And then I started using that for targeted emailing. And Marriott, I was on the EFAC committee back when the EFAC committee was only like 8 people around the table. And I go in there, and then there's these extra 6 people. And they start talking about ownership of content and the legalities of ownership of content. And that the brand considers all people that stay at hotels under the flag as their content, and on and on and on. And I kept noticing the conversation kept narrowing down to me. And they were there. They were lawyers to say that that I could not keep that content. And I said, unfortunately, you're wrong. If it was content that was charged, you have a percentage ownership, you consider that according to legalities, your content. But because we're giving it away for free as owners of the hotel, it is our content.
No. You're buying it. You're buying content directly from them, but instead of using dollars, you are using a service to buy their content.
Good point. That'd be a better way of saying it. And so it was my content to do as I pleased. And I got condemned as saying, you follow the letter of the law, but not its intent. And I'm like, well, I'll take that as a compliment. I was like,
thank you.
I think they wrote the contract, didn't they?
Actually, they revamped their franchise contract because of what I was doing with the email scrape off of the reporting, that they all forms of communication, whether paid for or not, are considered brand product brand. Yeah, actually, changed the franchise agreement. I was very proud of that. I made the monster change direction for a little bit because of what I was doing at the time. Yeah, it just goes back to your point about the internet of using. I use VPN for everything now. After my China trips and stuff like that, I just VPN. Every time I get onto any networking, I flip it over to VPN. I know it doesn't stop everything, but it makes it a little harder for the casual scraper to pull data if I'm VPNing over to someplace else. But yeah, you're right about the time part of it. I'm going to hit you guys up later. One of the other clients that I have has a hotel in Lynchburg, and it has a dilemma of losing market share, and it's not pretty. So I'll probably be hitting you up for some advice on it. I think of any other topics that we had for it. Next week, guest-wise, I have one in the wing, which is MetaSearch. I still have that card to throw out. But is there anybody else that you have?
If you're going to invite him, do a test run beforehand.
Dean, yeah, I am. I'm going to get him on a run on because he had a crappy camera and it died.
I won't be here next week because I will be at Chief in Puerto Rico.
And sending good pictures of beautiful beaches.
And I may not be here either because I will be at Texas Tech Parents Weekend.
Ooh, all right. Yeah. I go to Parents Weekend the very next.
Guns.
I go to Texas Parents Weekend the very next day. I will be here next week.
Okay.
I will be a little jet lagged. I fly in from Chicago Thursday night. It is a 9:10 flight. I was on the same flight this past week, but except on Wednesday. We didn't depart Chicago until 10 minutes to 11.
Oh my God!
I landed at Newark at 1:45.
Oh.
And then I drive 45 minutes home from the airport.
That's not jet lag.
Welcome to the United Airlines O'Hara experience.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no.
Yesterday morning was very, very rough, frankly. But I will be here next. Friday. I might be. What do they call it? Bright-tailed and bushy-eyed.
Well, as it is, like I said, I want to get Dean back for the MetaSearch thing while I still have him as a lead to pull in. But if there's anybody else that you would think, I hit up the Revenue Council.
I'm going to invite after, so I'm speaking to the chief and have already done some pre-panel conversations with them, and some of these people are really interesting about this show, and I convince them to come on without looking at it because we don't want to scare them away.
Yeah.
So, but some really interesting people.
Well, no, I'm hurt, but I'm happy that at least it's getting moved the needle. That Leonardo is doing a summit, a digital summit, because I know I've been chattering about that for a long time, wanting to do. Yeah. So at least it's beginning to get formed, and awesome, Ed, that you're at least in the middle of that as well. Because I still have a dream of doing that, and I still have a dream of trying to do it by the end of the year. But I think for logistics' sakes, it might be changing.
The logistics that went into this. It's
Right.
she's put so much work into this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I have a hard stop if I want to eat lunch before my next call. So thank you for me. StOnge on social channels, and you can find me on Flip.to or
legitimately
Flip.to. But thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.
Ed, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Travel safe on Puerto Rico.
Have fun in Puerto Rico.
Mr. Robert, where can they find you, Mr. Robert?
rockcheetah.com or Robert K. Cole through most social media.
And Mr.
Oh, and I don't think I'm
found for all the things that are on Tim Peter, I don't think you and I are found on Tim Peter.
It's sad. It's always something I want.
It's a dream. It's one of the bucket list check boxes. Yeah.
It is.
You're actually listed under associates.
Oh, well, there you are.
I don't know. That's I just made that up.
And Mr. Tim.
You can find me at rockcheetah.com and at Hospitality Digital. No, I am at timpeter.com. I'm TC Peter on Twitter.
Excellent. Gentlemen, as always, thank you very much for the time, the dialogue, and the pleasure of being able to pick your brains about all these fun things. And Tim, I'll see you next week. Robert, I hope to see you next week, but if for any reason it's possible. But if not, then we'll just have to catch up the week after that.
Well, and if you don't, what I would like to do is to spring on your guests a little quiz that would be name the 30 Marriott brands, and just go down, see who can do it.
I don't think I even can do that.
I know I can't do that.
I know I can't, but I think that would be a fun little.
Let's have to throw that out and see. It'd be interesting.
I suspect it's going to be 28 brands real soon.
I don't know. It'll be interesting.
But they have to.
I think they desperately need to pare it down, but there is the entire, again, driving how much footprint can you get, how many rooms, and not be stepping over these franchise agreements to say sure. That's a different that's a different brand. They aren't competing with you.
But I think luxury collection and autograph are the most likely pair for one to go.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I don't know what the distinct value prop is of the two.
It was
but luxury collections is generally a better quality.
No, that's true. That's true.
Than autograph. It's kind of like the 5 versus 4, and there are other groups that are going out and doing different strata of soft brand. So.
It'll be fun to find out.
They might. I think they might keep both of those and make luxury collection maybe push it a little higher and make autograph a little bit lower.
I don't think you do with autograph. Autograph is too. I don't think you make that distinction for autograph, to be honest. But
I still think the fascinating one is Bulgari, because Bulgari is not a member of Marriott Rewards.
And by the way, I apologize. I said luxury collection. And that's not what I meant. I meant tribute.
Tribute.
Tribute and autograph collection.
Yes. Yeah. Tribute should. Yeah.
I think tribute. I think tribute is probably the first one on the
that should be number one in the Deadpool. But Bulgari isn't a member of Marriott Rewards because Ritz-Carlton has an exclusive as the luxury member of that. So what the heck do they do with St. Regis and all that? And they do not want to get rid of. They want to keep St. Regis and Ritz and probably Bulgari and all those things together. So it's going to be interesting. The only other thing I was going to mention today is I didn't notice this before, but Marriott has now a page to link your Marriott Rewards and your Starwood preferred.
Did they already?
Accounts.
Okay.
It's live.
Okay.
It's live today.
Do you have the link? Can you
earn your points?
Yeah.
What? I'll points before they all get devalued.
Yeah, then we do. Do you have anything to throw up in there before we cut out?
Yep, here it is. Yep. Oops.
Excellent.
I'm actually going into the.
There we are.
Into that.
Perfect.
There we go.
All right, so I'll invite Dean Schmidt from DerbySoft to join us as our guest next week. And
fantastic. And Lauren, where can people find you?
Oh, at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com, of course. And the podcast. I'm going to do the podcast here in about 15 minutes after I grab some food and do a recap of our show, as a matter of fact, which we also do every week. Where actually the podcast has lived longer than the live show. I'm on episode 122 of the podcast, and that's actually on top of an old series I used to do. I've just looked back. I've been doing podcasting for almost 15 years now. I did not realize.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I did when I was back with the Ocean Properties, I did one Save on Florida Travel and Florida Travel Deals and Florida Latitude were 3 different podcasts that I conveniently did for destinations that the ownership had hotels located at. So I did interviews with GMs and concierges as to things to do with the destination. But yeah, so I looked at it, I was like, geez, I actually have episodes back from 2002, 2003.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, cool beans. But anyway, yes, thank you again, everyone. And there's a link. Good. And that's a link for to quickly get your points redeemed and usable because it will go down. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to go over and take the Facebook Live off for those who joined us off of that. Thank you so very much for.
I'm going to take this off the air.
Yeah. And we'll call it a day. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you all next week. Episode 60 of This Week in Hospitality Marketing, Digital Marketing, next Friday, 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.